Bear Academy.
He has been buried alive. His world is the silence and cold of the grave. Ever since his voice gave out and he lost the strength to scream, no coherent thought has passed through Koji's mind. Perhaps this is his brain's way of protecting him from despair. Hey, that's me. Instead, he dreams. Images flash before his eyes, random unconnected scenes from his 20 years of life. Not all are of happy times. There are sad, painful memories as well, but even these are pleasantly warm compared to the death that's now encroaching upon him. He dreams of mountains. His older brother once took him hunting for insects when he was a child. They still there caught butterflies in a plastic bag, only to later find themselves holding a bag of tiny corpses. He dreams of his lover. They met at a mixer where he'd been the only one to realize that she couldn't hold her liquor. After she'd had too much to drink, he looked after her while she vomited in the back alley. They toasted each other with canned juice and then... He dreams that he isn't diving into a black sea. When he reaches the bottom, he looks up to see the moon shining through the surface of the water. As he gazes up at the circle of light, entranced by its roundness and brilliance, the distant rumbling of an engine reaches his ears. Something still conscious within him tells him that his dream is wrong. Have I ever gone diving at night before? The dots begin to connect in his mind, forming a barrier to separate his dreams from reality. What is bothering him? Of course, the sound. The engine noise gradually fades to a low idling, then abruptly gives way to silence, followed by the sound of a door opening and closing. Oh, you are saved. I'll toast to that. Stay hydrated, kids. This isn't a dream. These sounds are real. Understanding comes like a sudden blow. This isn't the bottom of the sea, and that circle of light isn't the moon. It's the mouth of the well. The sun has already risen, and someone is right outside of the car. The last piece falls into place, and he becomes Tono Koji once more. Help, Koji shouts, surprised by how easily his voice emerges. His desperation blocks out the pain of his raw throat. Hey, I'm down here in the well, help me. He keeps screaming with all his might. Soon, the echoes in the cramped well become deafening, and he's no longer certain if his screams have meaning or if it's just howling wordless. Nevertheless, he continues. His only desire is to be heard. Lest he die forgotten at the bottom as well. Koji's wait is not long, but even a minute feels like eternity on the edge of despair. Hey, it's me. Soon the circle of light above him is partially eclipsed by the silhouette of a person staring down in the well. Could it be the baddie doctor? Oh no, you alive down there? A woman's voice. That was not a woman's voice right now, was it? A woman's voice. Koji has heard it somewhere before, but for some reason cannot remember to whom it belongs. That does not sound like a woman's voice. Just hold on, I got you out. The silhouette vanishes, restoring the light in a perfect circle. Fear of being left alone again threatens to send Koji into a panic, but his reason has recovered enough to resist. She said she's going to get me out. I haven't been abandoned. While waiting, he gingerly tests his body, which he had forgotten all about until now. His joints ache and his fingers and toes are numb, but though exhausted, he's still in one piece. The one piece! After some time, the silhouette reappears at the top of the well. That is not a female voice actor. Absolutely not. Are you hurt? Can you climb and rope on your own? No, I don't think so. Koji lacks the confidence to attempt to defeat. His frozen fingers can barely move. Huh, oh well, I'm coming down. Coming down? After a brief pause, the owner of the voice tosses another climbing rope into the well. He grabs the rope as soon as it reaches him. The rough threads bite into his palm and relief nearly overwhelms him with the sensation. This is really happening. He's really safe. Now that he's free from despair... Hey, that's me. Okay, I should probably stop that. Questions leap to the forefront of his mind. First among them, who is the savior? The rope shakes as the woman climbs carefully down. The beam from the floodlight slung over her shoulder, pushing back the shadow cast by her body. Soon she's standing in the same mud as Koji, and he finds himself face to face with... Doctor? Now it's the real voice actress. Were you expecting someone else? Koji indeed had not imagined that the savior would turn out to be Dr. Tambo Ryoko. Of course, it took him a moment to recognize her. Instead of a white gown and tight skirt, she's wearing a heavy leather coat, denim jeans, and boots with no heel. She must have expected a hike through the mountains. Her light is blocky, all-purpose type featuring side-mounted fluorescent runners in addition to the main floodlight. Survival gear and professional, great by the look of it. You look awful, Dr. Tambo says wryly as she gives Koji a once over. Here, drink this. She pulls a flask out of her pocket and hands it to him. Go slow, take small sips. It'll help a little. Thank you. She walks around with a flask. Maybe Koji's just old-fashioned, but it doesn't seem appropriate for a young woman, and a doctor at that. Nevertheless, he unscrews the cap and takes a swig, and struggles to keep from coughing as the potent liquid sears his tongue. What is this? Spiritus vodka. Good for disinfecting wounds in a pinch, and also does a fine job for setting things on fire. Probably also makes you blind. Her tone is straightforward and quite serious. Koji can only gape at the doctor, the dark smile on her face doing little to ease his confusion. Is this really Dr. Tambo? There's no trace of the bookish, mild-mannered woman Koji met at the hospital. Her expression is now set in a hard mask, and her eyes are sharpened and wary. In the darkness at the bottom of the well, it is possible, however unlikely, that the change in her features is due to the ominous shadows cast by her lamp. It's not so easy, however, to explain the changes in her demeanor. Why are you here? You called me, didn't you? Ryoko replies brusquely, glaring at Koji like an annoyed professor. I tried calling back, but he didn't answer. Neither did your friend Tsukuba. Am I supposed to think everything's fine? No, but... Koji still doesn't understand why she acted so quickly, but it's a different part of what she just said that seizes his attention. Wait, Tsukuba, you called her too? Like I said, she didn't pick up either. To be honest, I figured you were both dead already. That's cold. That's right, he almost died, at the hands of the man he thought was his best friend. Anger and frustration well up inside him. He can't forgive Fuminori's betrayal, nor can he forgive himself for his foolishness. And now he has no idea if Tsukuba is safe. Fuminori tried to kill Koji. Could he have done the same to her? Calm down, why don't you? Ryoko says irritably, turning away to examine the inside of the well. There's nothing you can do from here. If you thought something was wrong, Koji says to her back, then you must have called the police, right? The police? Still engrossed in an examination of the walls, Ryoko laughs scornfully at the idea. So you still think that's the way out, do you? I don't like that smile. What's that supposed to mean? Annoyed by her condescending attitude, Koji is about to demand answers when she cuts him off with a gesture and shines her light at the corner of the wall. You didn't notice this? Huh? The light of the lamp, Koji sees that some of the stones are a different shade than the rest of the wall. This must be what Ryoko was looking for. Huh? No, there wasn't enough light. Ryoko's gaze moves slowly along the wall, finally coming to rest on a gap between the two of the stones. The hole is just wide enough for an adult to reach into open-handed. You sure picked the right well to fall down, Ryoko says with a grin smile. Like they say, it's always the last place to look. She wastes no time thrusting her hand into the opening. After she feels around for a few seconds, Koji hears the thunk of something solid coming together behind the wall. A secret tunnel? Doctor? Ryoko pulls her hand out and gives the different colored stones a gentle push. With the rumble of weight shifting, the stones slide smoothly back into the wall. There's a freaking secret room here? Okay. So that's how you fooled me. I had no idea this was here last time I came. You've been here before? Koji wants answers, but Ryoko ignores him and peers into the opening. In the beam of her floodlight, Koji can see a concrete tunnel leading into the mountain. Secret tunnel through the mountains. I'm going on ahead. You better stay here. Her warning is utterly devoid of warmth. Considering his options, Koji looks from the tunnel to the rope and back again. He's practically sweating now, thanks to the 190 proof vodka he just drank, but although feelings has returned to his fingers, he still doesn't have the strength to climb. That said, he thought of being alone in the well. Again makes him shiver. I'll go too. Please take me with you. Have it your way. Ryoko steps into the tunnel without looking back, and Koji doesn't hesitate to follow. You're pretty different the last time we met, Koji says sarcastically, following Ryoko as she moves cautiously down the tunnel with the light leading the way. This isn't the hospital, and you're not my patient. This service doesn't come with a smile. So this is who we really are. I wonder, does it matter? Ryoko suddenly stops and stares at the floor. When Koji looks over her shoulder, he sees a dust-covered rope lying coiled up in the middle of the path. What is it? Something left by the last guy who came down the well. Ryoko picks up the rope, examines it, and hands it to Koji. It's about twice as long as my rope. It has a knot in it, and both ends have been severed. They were connected before to make a circle. Huh? You loop one end of the circle around something topside, then use the rest to climb down into the well. When you're at the bottom, you cut the circle open and pull the whole rope in with you. That way, there's nothing to show where you went. Ryoko shines a light down the tunnel, revealing that it ends in a closed wooden door about 10 meters ahead. That's how he avoided detection. Really got me good. You said you've been here before? Yeah, you and Sakisaka aren't the only ones, Ryoko says dryly. I checked OGAI's cabin a while back. Holy crap, she's strapped. As Ryoko speaks, she opens the coat and pulls out what she had hanging underneath it. If there aren't any other exit, then he's still behind the door. At first, Koji thinks that she is holding a steel pipe. Amazed that she would be carrying a weapon, Koji looks closer and is appalled when he realizes what it really is. A gun. Sort of shoddy. And not one of those sleek handguns that she's seen in the movies, but a double-barreled shotgun. The stock and barrels have been sawed down for easier concealment, enhancing its aura of brutal efficiency. What is that? A 12 gauge, Ryoko replies blandly, as though naming a brand of cigarettes. I don't have a permit, and cutting it down would be illegal even if I did. Any other questions? What are you planning to do with that thing? Ryoko looks over her shoulder and gives Koji her most chilling smile yet. When I first learned what OGAI was doing, I was a model citizen, never even gotten a ticket. The woman whom Koji believed was just a normal doctor waves her sawed-off shotgun menacingly as she continues, her tone sharp and bitter. If I'd had this back then, I would have killed OGAI before he got away. Maybe then none of this would have ever happened. I feel bad about that, really. Koji listens in silence, helpless to do anything but watch as understanding moves farther and farther out of his grasp. Oh, that smirk. In other words, everything I do from here on out is to clean up this mess that you and your friends have stepped in. Remember that, and don't ask any unnecessary questions. Got it? Koji can only nod weakly in response. With the light on her left hand and a shotgun on her right, Ryoko walks up to the door and takes a deep breath. Then she kicks the door open, putting her full weight behind the blow. For a disappointingly feeble sound, the door breaks off its hinges and falls into the room. Dust billows like white smoke in the beam of Ryoko's light. The room is large, at least 35 meters square. The floor is set with drainage grates, and there's no mistaking the operating table sitting in the middle of the room. Cabinets full of enamelware and drugs line one side of the space, and against the opposite wall stand a writing desk and bookshelves. Those things Koji recognizes. The mysterious objects cluttering the tables and shelves, however, are beyond his comprehension. Mirrors delicately engraved with complex patterns, grotesque statues and masks that must have been left by a race of savages, tapestries woven in nauseating arrays of color, a crystal ball the size of an infant's head. Any would fetch a hefty price at an antique store, if not for one thing they all have in common. Every last piece is so loathsome and foul that Koji feels sick just looking at it. It's as though each was designed for a sole sinister purpose, of immortalizing its creator and hatred of the world. Yeah, sorry, but this background makes it kinda hard to read. Rare-looking books of the sort that he found in OGAI's home are piled here and there, and on one shelf are stacked some scrolls that look like to be made of some kind of sheepskin or papyrus. Whatever it is, it's not paper. I mean, technically papyrus is paper. Finally, there are the indecipherable chalk patterns and symbols filling every available space on the wall. Even the two sliding blackboards are covered in strange, unreadable scribblings. Just looking at them is making Koji dizzy. Don't look, Ryoko snaps at him. Listen, don't move, and whatever you do, don't touch anything. Even if something draws your attention, don't look at it. Are these things haunted? If you see something that feels wrong, stare at your shoes. Got it? Yeah. Like a cognito hazard? Ryoko switches her light's fluorescent runners on and sets it on a nearby table where it can illuminate the whole room. She then holsters a shotgun, only to pull out an even more confusing set of tools. A digital camera and a can of spray paint. She gives the hand in her left hand a good shake, switches the camera in her right hand on, and steps on the blackboard while looking at the camera's side-mounted screen. Crap, where was I? Crap. I looked weird for a second. Doctor? Lesson 1. Never look at strange symbols or read anything written in unusual languages like Latin. Oh, really? Use a camera to record them for later, then paint over the original. Now that she mentions that, Koji realizes that she's only looking at the screen of her camera, even then only in short glimpses and never directly at any of the drawings. Ah, okay, so reading Latin curses you. Got it. He understands what she's saying, but it still doesn't make any sense. Why do you have to... Now that you've come this far, you better shut up and listen for your own good. Things like crystal balls and mirrors are dangerous. Anything can happen if you break them, so it's best to cover them with a cloth or paint over them for the time being. Mochi begins to fear that this doctor might be even crazier than Fuminori. Despite the burst of energy he received from the vodka, Koji is still exhausted from his night in the well. Fear is affecting his body, making him dizzy and nauseous. Soon the walls are covered in black paint and the stale air is thick with the smell of turpentine. That should do for now, Ryoko says with relief, then tosses the empty can aside and puts away her video camera. What happened to OGAI? Koji asks, supporting himself against the nearby table. Oh, he was over there. Without stopping her examination of the papers on the writing table, Ryoko points nonchalantly at a Chinese-style screen standing in one corner of the room. He was there. Her clinical choice of tense makes her meaning instantly obvious. The urge to see for himself is irresistible. Koji staggers across the room to the screen, taking the utmost care not to look at the scaly octopus thing that is painted on it. Behind the screen is a large, easy chair. Although he's never met the man before, Koji is fairly certain that the person sitting in it is OGAI Masahiko. Yeah, you don't look too healthy. OGAI's corpse must have shrunk significantly while drying in the sealed chamber. The body is barely the size of a child's, only the business suit hanging from the bones offering a hint of OGAI's former stature. Okay. His empty eye sockets and wide open jaw are filled with darkness, the same darkness that surrounded Koji at the bottom of the well. Compared to those gaping voids, the tiny hole in OGAI's right temple is almost demure. The revolver that he presumably used to kill himself is still clenched in his dangling right hand. It looks like a child's toy compared to Ryoko's shotgun. Ryoko must have noticed OGAI's corpse while she was spray painting the walls, and still, she kept working without batting an eyelash. Impressive. Though not exactly surprising after what he's been through. It's getting difficult to remember the last time he spoke to someone sane. But if not for her, Koji reminds himself with a bitter smirk he would have ended up joining this mummified corpse here, and no one would ever have found him. So we finally found the doctor, okay? But he's dead. Koji's vision suddenly dims. He's pushed himself too hard, and the spiritless vodka can't help him anymore. He collapses to the floor, unable to hang on to his slipping consciousness, and the last thing he sees are OGAI Masahiko's gaping eye sockets staring at him.
Ultimate Despair Live.